Fanjing Red Beach is one of the most picturesque landmarks of China, located in Liaoning Province, positioned by the Chinese as the second largest wetland in the world, carefully preserved in its original form by humans. The Red Beach became a salvation for a whole generation of Chinese who were starving in the 60s of the last century. Here you could hunt and fish animals, collect roots. Sand is the first thing that comes to mind when we talk about a beach, but on Red Beach, near the city of Fanjing in northeast China, you won't find a single grain of sand. In fact, this is not a beach, but the name came about thanks to the sea beach quotes that grow on the coasts of the sea and the banks of salt reservoirs. This starts to grow in April and stays green, but turns a rich red color in autumn. To see the fantastic red carpet for many kilometers, you have to come in autumn, in September or in October. In addition to the aesthetic, natural thickening agent agar-agar is obtained from it, a type of gelatin, used in particular for confectionery, jam, lozenge, souffle, marshmallow, jam, filling for sweets. And when it is rich in trace elements such as iodine, iron, calcium as well many other valuable substances and vitamins. Only a small part of the huge Xuantehekar Nature Reserve, which occupies 600,000 hectares, is open to tourists. Endless red fields are located in a reed swamp with a unique ecosystem. The reserve is the main resting place for migratory birds that travel from Eastern Europe and Asia to Australia. This huge wetland is a protected area as it is home to 260 species of birds, including the rare red crane and an endangered species of seagull. There are also around 400 animal species. The reserve also includes another local attraction. Here is the largest reed swamp in Asia. The ground on Red Beach is loamy and wet. Therefore, there are wooden decks on high legs and viewing platforms along the Red Beaches for the tourists. Nowhere on Earth, except probably in the snow-capped expanses of Antarctica, is it possible to find such a vast space of 700 square kilometers, occupied by dunes and ridges of such strange appearance. At first it seems as if they were actually outlined by a recent snowstorm, especially since grains of white sand sparkle like snow crystals under the sun, and only the scorching heat is a reminder that the area that opens to the eye is not beyond the Arctic Circle, but in the state of New Mexico. White Sand Desert, also known as Porcelain Desert, is a unique creation on planet Earth. There is a desert in the southern United States between the Sacramento Mountains and the Rio Grande River. About 25 kilometers away is the city of Albuquerque. This desert got its name for the unusual color of the sand. The Porcelain Desert dune belt stretches 8 kilometers wide and 40 kilometers long. Some sections of the dunes in the desert reach a height of 15 meters, but they usually collapse quickly. The history of the White Sand Desert goes on distant past. In the Cretaceous, about 100 million years ago, according to scientists, there was a shallow sea at this point, which gradually began to evaporate over the years. After a while the water body disintegrated into many small lakes, which were saturated with a large amount of salt, but the resulting reservoirs could not survive longer than usual, and the reason for this is the mercilessly burning sun, as a result of which the lakes dried up, and in their place there were huge accumulations of selenite and salt. About 40 million years later, when mountain ranges, now called San Andreas and Sacramento, appeared at the site of the former sea. Their peaks consist of selenite layers that were washed away by the rainwater over time and accumulated nearby Lake Lucero, which subsequently dried out and only thin layers of crystallized sodium selenite remained in its place. Under the influence of the wind, the formed salts of the alkali metal sodium and selenious acid began to spread along the territory of the mountain ridges that lay the magnificent dunes of the desert of white sand. Since there is not so little rainfall in the area, there are practically no plants in the desert. The reason for a phenomenon so strange at first glance lies in the fact that the sand is in constant motion, as a result of which the plants do not have the opportunity to gain a foothold through roots in the ground. Only unpretentious poplars and yucca have adapted to life in such conditions. On the edge of the desert there are many more plants. There are also various animals: coyotes, skunks, porcupines, gophers, desert roofers, etc., while in the depths of the white sands you can only find lizards and rodents, which are characterized by a pale gray color helping them camouflage themselves on the ground. Nature has given many native animals such an unusual appearance that even a scientific name cannot be read without a smile. A grasshopper mouse, an antelope hare, a big-eared fox, a kangaroo rat, a crooked-billed thrush, a zebra-tailed lizard and even a leopard lizard, and the only lizard in the world that lives here short but expressive name, Helizan. Animals in the white sands desert adapt to different ways of living in waterless dunes. For example, the kangaroo rat has learned to do without water completely. It never drinks and gets the moisture it needs from plant seeds, its main food. Until now, the white sands desert, a unique place on Earth. The Zhangjiajie National Park is located in central China, in the northwest of the Hunan province, more than 1,000 kilometers from Shanghai and Beijing. The Zhangjiajie Park became famous all over the world thanks to the incredible landscapes of the movie Avatar, because it was the picturesque landscapes of Zhangjiajie that inspired the creation of the nature of the movie Avatar. And in 1982, the Zhangjiajie Park became China's first national forest park with an area of 264.6 square kilometers. Chinese scholars offer several options for the etymology of the park's name, but most serious historians tend to believe that Zhongliang's name is hidden within. This disgraced aristocrat played a prominent role in the formation of the Han Dynasty. The mountains were formed in the Mesozoic era and over millions of years through weathering through the washing out of sandstone and limestone. More than 3,000 pointed rocks were created. The height of many reaches 800 to 1,000 meters. Today cliffs and crevices are overgrown with lush vegetation and pine trees. Rivers and lakes flow through them deep ravines. Apparently, strong rocks destroy the tough roots of trees and bushes that grow on the peaks. Thanks to the high humidity, the plants grow successfully, conquer new locations and gradually destroy strong mountains. There are 243 mountains of different heights in the protected area. The most famous one, the summit, is Cheyenne Mansion. Cheyenne, 1,518.6 meters. The relief of the reserve is diverse, dense coniferous forests on high slopes, natural stone bridges, winding karst caves. A popular part of the reserve are mountains up to 800 meters high, freestanding vertical columns shrouded in thick fog. The rocks resemble mystical old towers floating above the ground. In the Great Canyon of Zhangjiajie, where the glass bridge is located, which is considered to be the tallest and longest glass bridge in the world, opened in 2016. The structure is 430 meters long and 6 meters wide. The bridge arches 300 meters above the ground. At the same time, it offers space for 800 people, and there is also a platform for the highest bungee jumping in the world. Not far from the Yucatan Peninsula, the state of Belize is one of the brightest geological wonders in the world, a Great Blue Hole. The Great Blue Hole is considered one of the largest underwater caves in Central America near the city of Belize. If you look at it from a great height, you can see that the funnel is shaped like a circle. The researchers say that this huge underwater depression was created by nature through the collapse of a huge cave that once existed. Formed in the Ice Age tens of thousands of years ago, the sea level was much lower then, but when the ocean rose, the roof of the flooded cave collapsed. A karst funnel was formed. The diameter of this natural formation is 305 meters, and the depth is 120 meters. This place is very attractive for modern divers with its extraordinary beauty. 120 meters deep and diverse underwater world. There are many fish here, and below you will find corridors to underwater caves. Not to forget the basics of safety in order not to be eaten by a reef shark, and not in getting into a terrible hot tub opens up the best bird's eye view for a reason. This wonderful attraction around the world. There are many photos. The transparency of the pit water allows you to distinguish between the light and dark border from the helicopter and see one of the longest coral reefs, which looks like a broken ring, and becomes, despite its beauty, called the Lighthouse Reef. The Great Blue Hole in Belize is very insidious. There are indications of accidents and dead divers. Nevertheless, 1,000 divers visit the Great Blue Hole of Belize every year to explore this amazing wonder of the Caribbean.
What's going on? This is Cotton. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because subscribing makes you feel good.